Hello and welcome to the Import Export Hub channel, everybody. Bogdan here, your host for the next couple of agonizing minutes. I hope that you are all doing great. And guys, without asking you to hit those small buttons below this video, let's see together what my one-of-a-kind and famous crystal ball told me when I've asked him to recommend me 5 products that are worth importing from Argentina. He did a nice job, if you ask me, and in the following minutes, I will read the results. So, without further ado, the first recommendation, guys, it's coming from heading 1512. So, sunflower seed oil, safflower, or cottonseed oil, whether or not refined but not chemically modified, as Argentina is one of the largest exporters of this kind of oil in South America, if not the largest. And the figures here speak for themselves, really. And we have some $764 million worth of exports in 2021, with Iran, India, and Chile as the major trading partners. But of course, we have here other important ones in this top 10 list, like, I don't know, Australia, the United States, or Ecuador, just to name a couple of them. And I don't know, even though in the last couple of years, let's say the year-on-year change was negative, 2021 compared to 2020 was a very good year, if you ask me. My guess is that 2022 is going to be even better, and we have some 144% increase in relative terms, which in absolute ones translates into $450 million more exports, with a big chunk driven by the demand coming from Iran, who had 38% share in Argentina's total exports from this heading. Other big positive changes happened also in relation with India, Chile, and Mexico, who combined imported with some $192 million more in 2021. And I'm highlighting this because from, I don't know, 2017 onwards, when the trading partners were much numerous and where, I don't know, the top 10 partners made up for an acceptable 75% concentration in terms of exports. In the following years, as you can see here, we have fewer partners, most probably, I don't know, national agencies from Iran, India, or Chile, which increased also Argentina's export concentration, hence the vulnerabilities linked with a possible drop in demand or, I don't know, some credit defaults. But anyways, for these 3 particular countries, so Iran, India, and Chile, most probably the activities are related to commodity trading practices. I am not that familiar. If some of you are, please do shed some light. So I will move on to the main export driver. I won't comment more, which for both Iran and Colombia here was crude sunflower seed or safflower oil, so subheading 151211. And now, guys, with this first product being covered, I will move to my second one. It's coming from subheading 2009, so fruit juices not containing added spirit, added sugar, or other sweetening matter. And here we have almost $298 million worth of exports for 2021, with the United States, the Netherlands, and Japan as the main partners. But of course, as you can see here, there are other important ones in this top 10 list, like, I don't know, Canada, South Africa, or Italy. Again, just to name a few. At the macro level, it seems that the exports are on a downward trend, at least if we consider the 2019-2021 time frame. And basically, we have an year-on-year negative change of 7% in relative terms, which translated in absolute ones, we have $22 million fewer exports compared with the 2020 figures, driven mostly by the softening demand coming from Saudi Arabia and South Africa. As for the main drivers, the exports towards the United States were driven mostly by subheading 200969, so grape juice, while those towards Israel were driven mainly by subheading 200939, so seagull citrus fruit juice. And now moving to my third product recommendation, we have here heading 0810, so fresh strawberries, raspberries, and other berries. And here, as in the case with sunflower seed oil, the number of trading partners continued to decline from 2017 onwards. But unlike the sunflower seed oil, where the exported amount increased towards fewer partners, so the export concentration increased, here we have just a third of the exported values if we were to compare the figures from 2021 to those from 2017. I am not a big specialist in fresh produce. I think that Chile, if you ask me, has more competitive advantages for these particular products, but this doesn't mean it's not worth considering Argentina as a potential sourcing country for some types of berries. The year-on-year changes were negative, and we have here some 21% in relative terms and $9 million in absolute ones, with the United States as a big contributor to this negative result. Relative to the main drivers for both Spain and Germany, we have subheading 081040, so fresh cranberries, bilberries, and other fruits of the genus Vaccinum. And now, guys, with this little bit of Latin practice, let's say I will move to my fourth recommendation. It's coming from heading 0805, so fresh or dried citrus fruits. And we see that for 2021, Argentina's exports amounted to some $233 million, almost 2% more than the previous year. More or less the same if you adjust it to inflation, I think. And we have here the United States, Netherlands, and the Russian Federation as the main destinations, followed by, I don't know, countries like Italy, Portugal, the Philippines, or France. Relative to the year-on-year changes, as I've said, we have some 2% positive change with strong performances coming from the United States, the Netherlands, and Portugal, who together imported with almost $56 million more. On the negative side, the largest contractions were in relation with the Russian Federation and Greece, both having a combined contraction of roughly $14 million, again relative to the figures coming from 2020. As for the main drivers, the exports towards the Philippines were mainly driven by subheading 080529, so fresh or dried Wilkins and similar citrus hybrids, while those towards Ukraine were mainly driven by subheading 080550, so fresh or dried lemons here. And finally, guys, with the fourth product being also covered, I will move to my fifth and last one. Bear with me for a little bit more, and it's coming from heading 0202, so frozen bovine meat. And here the figures, as you can see, are much higher than the previous recommendations. Argentina, as you know, it's a well-known country for sourcing bovine meat, high quality bovine meat, and for 2021 we have almost $2 billion worth of exports, with China here dominating. It has almost 85% share in Argentina's exports from this heading, of course. Highly concentrated, if you ask me. Israel follows with less than a tenth of the Chinese volumes, and on the third spot we have the United States with some $76 million. Brazil, the Russian Federation, or Germany are also in this top 10 list, but the figures are almost negligible, especially if we compare with the figures coming from China. And as with everything involving China, guys, things can be very volatile, and I don't know, turn bad in a matter of days. And personally, I don't think that the volumes towards China can be maintained on the long run, given the rising input costs and the current freight rates. So if I were an Argentinian exporter, I would start looking for new markets right away. Now, in terms of year-on-year changes, the overall exports were down 3.5% compared with the figures of 2020, which in absolute values translates into some $73 million, which is a lot if you ask me, with both China and Russia having a lot of weight on this contraction. As for the main drivers, well, towards China we have here subheading 020230, so frozen boneless bovine meat, while the exports towards Peru were mostly driven by frozen edible bovine offal, so subchapter 020629. So, guys, with the smell of steak flooding your nostrils, let's say, that's all for today. Thank you all for watching. I really hope that I've managed to give you some useful information. Don't forget to hit those small and buttons below this video. Again, thank you all for watching. And as usual, until next time, keep your business safe. Thanks.